Franklin.
I'm Marcy.
I'm Tristan, the quickest gun in the West.
We are Watchers in the Basement. Today was covering 1923, episode 4 and 5 of today's podcast. We've been gone the last 2 weeks, but today we will cover Journey of the Rivers of Iron and Only Gunshots to Guide Us. These last 2 episodes, man, have me on stress mode. I'm not going to lie. Marcy, where are your thoughts on the last 2 episodes so far?
It's a lot. I read an article that said that Taylor warned the actress who plays Alex, Julia Schlaepfer, I believe is how you say her last name, to get ready because this was going to be an intense season for her. And so far, it has been a very intense season for her. So not just for Alex, for Spencer on the ranch. So we've been through it.
For me, these last 2 episodes, I don't want to get too deep. I agree with the stress levels. You know, what's funny is like we come into this show, 1923, 1883, Yellowstone, the whole Yellowstone universe, and we think of like stress and conflict. Ultimately, we think about like cowboy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like between men about cattle and land, and so many of the battles we've seen, like the most stressful parts have been like the battle between, just regular ass people and regular ass evils and stuff like that. So like these last 2 episodes have been very trying, to the point where before episode 5, I came in thinking like, this might be my last season watching this show. Like it's so weighing, especially like the way, minority women, Native American, like so many things happen. Like it can be hard. Like this is not a show that you rewatch, like, hey, like, oh man, this went off. I can't wait to watch this again tomorrow. It's more like, man, I'm watching it again because I got to go talk about it. And again, I do love the Yellowstone universe. I do love the show. I love the characters, but like, ooh, buddy, this shit can be hard.
Yeah, it's a lot, especially because it just on Paramount Plus, obviously it just drops on Sunday morning. So it's been the first thing that I've been doing on Sunday mornings, which is probably not great because I'm starting my day stressed out, but I'm to the point where I'm like, I can't wait to see what more shit Taylor will put us through. And he is delivering every single time. I mean, I think last week's was definitely a lot more difficult for me to watch just because like we knew like Alex went through a lot in that episode and she went through a lot in this episode too, but I think I was already kind of ready for her to go through more given what she'd went through last episode, but it was a lot.
I would say that what happened in episode 4, her getting robbed and beat up, I would, in theory, you'd be like, man, it was harder to watch, but like it made episode 5 harder to watch because you feel like these traumatic things, these traumatic things are stacking up on it, and getting worse and worse. So it's like it should prepare you for it, should soften it, but it doesn't. It's just like it's dread, like you see Alex in a scene with any man essentially, and it's like you assume that the worst is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's very trying. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not even a woman, and like it's triggering. It's triggering as a human. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares about other humans? Like it's very triggering. And then add on top of that my love for Alex the character.
Yeah.
And it's like, this shit is hard to watch, man. About the characters that you really like.
Yeah, and she's not even halfway through her journey, right? Like she's still in Chicago, still has to make it to Fargo, hopefully. But the tracks are snowed over. I don't know how much more I can take of seeing Alex go through just some difficult shit, and then I'm wondering, maybe she's the one that doesn't end up cutting it out, right? Like we saw Elizabeth's character, she's the one that wants out. She's like, this is not for me. I'm wondering if Alex gets to that point. I don't think so, because she's very down for it and she loves Spencer, but it's a lot.
So we'll definitely talk about that. We're going to bring Frank back. We had some technical difficulties.
You're back. Welcome back.
Sorry about that, guys. My computer just reset out of nowhere. But I heard everything you guys were saying. I'm having a Taylor problem, man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I don't know the point of all this suffering. I get it's a drama, but I feel like Taylor is going out of his way to get his shit off with some of these women on the show. I don't understand it. Within the last 2 episodes, go ahead, T.
No, I want to when we get to like certain parts of the episodes or these like if we're gonna, I don't know, are we going to talk about these episodes kind of individually, or do you just want to kind of talk about like totality?
One. Yeah.
So finish your thought, man. But I kind of want to contextualize that. Like I've having like some conflicting thoughts watching these last 2 episodes and trying, like you said, I'm trying to understand the why. I feel like I've come to a why. I don't know if it's sufficient, but finish what you were saying.
I don't get the why. I don't, like, in the last 2 episodes, we've seen this woman get just brutally assaulted sexually. We've seen her get treated like a second-class citizen in the whole process of getting to this country. We've seen her get beat up, robbed, and this is the last 2 episodes, bro. This is not like the last 9 or 10 episodes. This is the last of like what, an hour and like 25 minutes of screen time with these women, and I don't understand why the writing has gotten so rough with the female characters, primarily with Alex and Elizabeth in this world. And look, I get it. Like, women, they draw a tough, they get a short end of the stick a lot when it comes to society. I get it. But it's like I don't understand the constant violence and second class citizen treatment they're getting. It seems like it's been ratcheted up the last 2 episodes, and I want to get to a place where like the writing, we're not just adding violence and suffrage just for the sake of adding violence and suffrage to tell the story. And I feel like when you get to a point where you're constantly just relying on the violence, suffrage, and abuse bell every chance you get, I feel like you're numbing the story a little bit when it comes to these women and what they have to go through to get to this point. Again, I said this in episode 3. I feel like I'm watching an Avengers storyline with superheroes of what they're going through. Like, this is not something that I get it. Humans, especially in that time, they endured a lot, and I get it. But it's like, God damn, bro, like, when is there gonna be a respite of peace with some of these characters? It's like I hope there's a payoff for all of this. But again, in 2 episodes, I've seen a robbery take place. I've seen her starve. I've seen her get treated which such, misconduct, assault. And it's like, bro, like, what's going on here? And T, I'd love to hear I'd love to hear your take on all of this.
Well, Marcy, you want to add in, because I might clear out, ISO. But not too long, but only Marcy before I go.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Frank. Obviously, being a woman at any time in history is difficult, and these are things you have to endure, which is important for a broader audience to see, not just for women, for us to be aware of how much we suffer. But you're right, it's a lot of suffering, and you get to a point where it's like, how much of it is gratuitous and how much is it to advance the story and to like character building? I think we're getting on the gratuitous part, especially with some other characters, where it's like, what is even the point of this storyline? Because I think we can understand that Whitfield is a bad man without seeing some of the bad things, but I think it also goes to talk about some of the other things in society. But yeah, it's it's difficult, and Alex is definitely getting like not just Alex, obviously Tiona, but in these episodes we see a lot more of Alex just kind of getting put through the ringer.
I think the conclusion I ultimately came down to, because as I was watching again, I was like, hey man, I'm prepared to not watch the show again, like because like y'all, I felt the same way. Like, hey, this is just a lot. You know what I'm saying? And just a lot. Watching a human go through this is a lot. To see a woman go through this is a lot. To see whatever, different nationalities, races, ethnicities, and then it's the characters that we like and characters that we root for. Like that's just hard on the spirit. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, where is this going? And like Frank, I'm like, hey, I hope this pays off. It has to pay off some type of way. Like I'm doing mental gymnastics in my own head. Like, hey man, she's sweeping up these floors and her feet are killing her because she's gonna make it to the ranch, and she has like it's just preparing her for like the long game, yada yada. I think what we're talking about represents like the strengths and weaknesses of Taylor Sheridan as a writer, as a show creator. I think strength-wise, he's really good at like setting these scenes, right? Even Yellowstone, setting modern times, like, but setting these scenes with the mountains, like kind of building like this contrast between like the corporate world of Yellowstone and this nature, right? But we see all of it, through the cities. 1883 is giving you this historical context, like Western expansion and all these things that came with it, relationship between cowboys and natives, all these things go together, right? And 1923 is, again, setting a scene. I think he's really good at, and I think he takes pride in setting that scene and telling you what America was like in these particular times. Even now, like the over-corporatization of things, commercialization of land, like just the destruction of nature. Like he's telling you a story in each one of these shows about like that particular time period. That's the strength. Where he fucks up at is, and Marcy and I have talked about this a lot, like he's so heavy-handed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Every show that Taylor Sheridan creates is heavy-handed as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, part of him is trying to like reach up to like that prestige. Like the shows we're watching are not prestige TV. You know what I'm saying? If they are, they're barely prestige TV. They barely hit that level. But I feel like he thinks he needs to up the ante on a lot of these things. It was like you can tell these stories without going so far. Hey, maybe we see Alex get robbed. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit happens. And shit happens, especially in the 1920s, where America still hasn't fully like civilized across the entire country. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to see her get robbed and raped. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a bear or two. We don't need to see bears and lions and sharks. And like, it's so much shit. And again, I compare it to like Mad Men. Mad Men could tell you the same story with the same themes. Mad Men could show you a woman being sexually assaulted. They could do it in such a subtle way. And I'm not saying that sometimes some people may not need to see like the explicit nature of sexual assault, but Mad Men could tell a story about sexual assault in such a subtle way that didn't distract from the story, because Mad Men was able to tell these longer stories. You know what I'm saying? Like these 20 episodes, 18 to 20 episode seasons. Taylor Sheridan's trying to tell you all these things in 8 to 10. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to lead to a lot more heavy-handed. And you as a viewer, you choose how much you can endure on this. But it's not much. Like I don't rewatch the show anymore. Like everything we say is off memory or me reading an article or two, because it's so hard. And we're just talking about Alex. We haven't even gotten to like Tiona and Elizabeth and Akara, like all these women, the prostitutes, you know what I'm saying? Like potential prostitutes, like we haven't even gotten into like those hardships, because we've seen so much just trauma from one character who we love to death, and I don't want to see any more harm come to.
You bring up a good point, Tristan, when you talk about rewatch value. And when I watched the Tiona episode of the scene of all the women, the grave, when I watched her get brutally beaten by the nun, Tiona, and then with Alex, the robbery, the rape, the doctor examination. Do you know what I said mentally in every one of those scenes? I literally said to myself, I'm never watching this episode again. I'm never watching it again, only because I can't put myself in that position to watch this type of torture, and it's becoming gratuitous. Like, you don't need to go overboard every scene to tell a story. You can there could be a level of subtleness. There could be, or you can just sidestep the gratuitous nature and really focus on actual dialogue. Dialogue can really make a story. Acting can really make a story. I don't need to see rape and somebody get beat up multiple times and abused for you to convey the seriousness of the tone of like what went on during this time. And I think
Ken Burns documentary, you know what I'm saying? So it should sound like a Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah, it's
I'm just not watching this. I watched that Civil War doc like every episode. That shit was like 18 hours. I'm like, I'm never watching this again. I'm glad I watched it. I learned something. I'm never watching it again. Brittany in the chat said, "When to survive Handmaid's Tale." I got through about season 4 of Handmaid's Tale, and I was like, I can't do this shit.
Yep.
Brittany has been trying to get me to watch Handmaid's Tale for like 5 years now, and I said, I saw some of the trailer of Handmaid's Tale. I'm like, I can't handle this show. I'm not watching it. My sister swears by it. I'm like, I can't watch that kind of violence towards people.
I made it up until, I don't want to spoil it, but like the main character, let's say, crosses a major threshold and then goes back. And I was like, you know what? That's my jumping off point. Because I survived all this shit, all this mental anguish. I went through all this shit, like all that, and then you going back. I haven't watched a single episode since, bro.
I couldn't even get through the book. And then I started season 1 and I was like, episode 2, I was like, no, because this could actually happen. And this was like 8 years ago when I tried to read the book, and no. And here we are, it's 2025 and here we are. So yeah, I can't do that. You brought up an interesting point though. You said instead of all this gratuitousness, he could do more dialogue. I think that's also where Taylor fucks up, because his shows are good, dialogue is good, but it's not great. So I think he makes up for that by showing us like these sweeping views in Yellowstone in 1883, in 1923. Like he really, like just Tristan and you said, like he's able to really set the scene and show us like this beautiful scenery and like really set the scene for us and tell the story. But the dialogue needs to be brought up a notch, and I think that's where some of the violence and gratuitousness may come in.
I agree. I agree. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. I keep telling myself he's going to have an epiphany and just put together 48 to 55 minutes of just great accelerating dialogue TV, and it hasn't gotten there yet. It's been fused with violence and fused with like just gratuity and like him just saying, here, focus on this, and then spaces of good dialogue from time to time. And like, nah, you can't rely on that to be your jumping off point, your go-to point every single episode. Bro, I'm to the point now, like by the time Alex and Spencer get to Montana, they're gonna be skeletons of themselves. They're gonna be broken people. Like I don't know how people can go through what they went through so far and still have a soul and still be intact mentally. It doesn't seem bearable for any human to go through what they're going through and still be a semblance of themselves once they get there. We saw Jon Snow die in Game of Thrones, literally die, and came back from the dead. And Jon Snow didn't go through what these two characters have gone through as walking human beings trying to get to Montana. Let that shit sink in. Let it sink in. This man literally died and came back to life. and when I look at Jon Snow's arc compared to Spencer and Alex's arc, it's not even close. It's not even close. So
Spencer and Alex, aka God's strongest soldiers.
Basically, them and Tiana, like, yes.
But this is how I know this show is about Spencer and Alex, because they're really the only ones who have great dialogue. Like everybody else, even Jacob and Kara, like they talk in like caricature. You know what I'm saying? Like Jacob and Kara have good dialogue. Spencer and Alex have great dialogue. Everybody else is kind of like a characterization of who they already are. Like Whitmore, I keep forgetting this man's fucking name, bro. It's Whitmore.
Whitfield.
Say it again.
Whitfield.
Why do I say Whitmore? Cam Whitmore. Whitfield, like he's a fucking Marvel's villain. Like every time he speaks like a Marvel villain, right? Banner is the same. All these characters are really static, right? Spencer and Alex are mostly dynamic. Like they change. Like Spencer can be badass, he can be lover boy, he can be a romantic guy, he can be straightforward, he can tell a joke every once in a while. Like Alex is the definition of dynamic as a character. Karen and Jacob they're mostly static, but like they have enough dynamism because, of course, who the fuck is playing them, that it carries their character, it builds their character up more. Every other character on that show is the same way, with very little change, whatever. So Spencer and Alex get this great dialogue, and again, I don't say this to shit on the season, but part of it is a little wasted, I believe, because we don't get that dialogue with them together, right? So like a piece of that magic is gone. It's like a pick and roll partner, like one leaves, like, okay, I can score in the ISO, cool, but it won't be as beautiful as it looks like when we intersect together, you know what I'm saying? Like on the court or in a scene. So that's funny. Like you start talking about the dialogue, like you start hoping for the dialogue. It'll never be like that until they come back together, because I feel like the point of this show is you can look at it like Game of Thrones, right? It starts off with this family together, and then all of them get separated, and then the whole point of the show is getting them back together for this larger purpose that's going to pay off decades down the line, and it's the same way here.
Oh, I will say this: when I went back and watched season 1, and when I say season 1, I literally just watched all of Spencer and Alex's parts together as a couple, and I said to myself, I think if I'm Taylor Sheridan, fuck Rip and Beth, you need a Spencer and Alex show moving forward. Depending on how this series ends, they can go another 4 or 5 seasons together. It's just those two as a tandem, because their chemistry is so unique. It's so dynamic that you can't recreate that. That was just great casting of Brandon and is it Jennifer? Is that her first name?
Julia.
It's just great. It's great casting to the point where like it's like they got all that magneticness and all that chemistry in a bottle, and you have to explore that even more. Hopefully going beyond this season.
I mean, you could do that in the next decade and tell a story about the Great Depression with them, because if again we're saying it's assuming that Spencer and Alex are make it and then live through the winter and all these wars, and they're the ones who help father on this next generation of the Duttons. But yeah, you got Great Depression right there, 1933. There you go. Yeah, holla at me. Fuck with us.
So venturing off back to Montana, we find out that so Elizabeth is going through a tough time. She wants to leave. She's had it. I don't blame her. Like she's going through the ringer, being attacked by wolves and being shot and losing a baby, and possibly we find out this past episode that she's pregnant again. So the shot that she got, one of the dozen shots that she's getting for the rabies, it came with morning sickness and cramps. We find out she's pregnant. Here's my question to you, ladies and gents, and either one, Marcy, you can go first. So now we know that Alex and Elizabeth are both pregnant. Do both parties keep their babies?
I don't know. And I think my theory is that Taylor likes to keep the audience guessing of like, who are, John's grandparents, right? Yes, this would be his grandparents. It's looking like it could be Elizabeth is his grandmother, because we see Alex get attacked, right? Like when she got robbed in the train station, the guy kicked her and it looked like he kicked her like somewhere near the stomach area. We don't know if her baby is okay. She's gone through so many things. I don't know. This is a Taylor Sheridan show, so both of them could lose their babies, and then like we just have to guess. Next season is when we're finding out who ended up having a kid. I don't know at this point. And my question too was, she's been getting these shots for several days on like having this agony. Why is it just now that Kara's like, oh, you shouldn't be reacting this way? Like, she should have been thinking that like on day 1 or 2 when like Elizabeth's freaking out and like feeling this terrible after the shot. Not like, what is this, like day 3 now or something? Day 4? I don't know. But I'm like, Kara, like, why didn't you ask or inquire from the doctor, like, why is she having these crazy reactions to this vaccine? That's where I was like, Kara, come on. Why are you just now asking the doctor? Like, why is she freaking out so much?
Yeah, I think she was freaking out. Like, well, I think what changes again, like the throwing up. I don't know if she did that. I don't know if she had that reaction. I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess it goes to kind of like to the thought of the concept, at least, like that they just kind of ignored or pretty much ruled out that she could ever be pregnant again. And it goes like to the larger theme of the season, like just this lack of hope. In winter, like everything's falling apart, the animals are tripping, like, and there's no reason to believe that. So like Elizabeth pops up pregnant, all of a sudden we start to see a little bit more hope just kind of around. There's more, certain things are looking up. They're about to find out. Well, they're definitely about to find out that Spencer's in America and he's on the way home. Like, but to answer your question, do I think both make it? Nah, because of everything we just said about Taylor Sheridan. I feel like Marcy mentioned it, like he's playing off the hype of people trying to figure out like the lineage of John Dutton and Yellowstone. Like that's a big thing. Like there's whole YouTube communities about this. There's Reddits about it. Like there's this larger community of people building these theories. And like, again, this is what Taylor Sheridan wants. Like he wants to be prestige TV. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's going to play into it. But I feel like everything's kind of like a tube is leading towards this linear story. And like, again, Taylor Sheridan can only tell with so many stories at one time.
Yeah.
He can't tell us the Jack and Elizabeth story and the Spencer and Alex story. One of them is going to have to play like a minor role. I think everything that we've seen, if it's just going like the way TV is made, everything is telling us that it has to be Spencer and Alex. Like everything is telling us that. All the math is pointing to that, which means there's going to be a wrench. But like, I just have to believe that, again, I've suffered. I watched these motherfuckers in the tree. I've watched them in a tree, fam. Like, I've never seen that on television. Like, motherfucker, fend off 5 to 6 to 8 lions, bro, with one shotgun and a few rounds. You're like, I've never seen it. And some hyenas, bro. Like, I've never seen that. Like, you have the feeling, seeing these niggas in the open sea. The open sea, bro. Like, I didn't even know Paramount had a budget for that shit.
Right? Thank you.
Like that, I've never seen it. So in theory, in logical theory, it has to lead to Spencer and Alex. Now, does it lead to Spencer and Alex with a child? Like I watched a video the other day where someone, goes back to Elsa Dutton saying, and as the narrator saying, my father had 3 children, only one would live to see only one would live long enough to see his children grow up, right? Spencer's brother saw Jack grow up, but he didn't live, right? Does Spencer live but not see any kids grow up? Like, it's so many theories that it's clouded my brain, and I'm just like, I'm going to focus on, this is how good TV seasons and good TV shows are made, right? You have these central characters, you have them go through all this bullshit to bring them together, and that's the story. You know what I'm saying? Especially for some anthology series like this, where we're only getting at most 3 seasons, you know, at best. So it has to work like that, in my opinion, at least.
I'm going to say this, and this could be very surprising. I think both babies survive. I think both babies survive, and I think by watching this series, I think there's an unaccounted bloodline that has not been talked about in the main timeline. That's probably unaccounted for. It's 1923. Ain't no phone. There's no cell phones. People barely have phones in this era. I think there's an unaccounted bloodline that goes to the main timeline.
Like another Dutton time, like interesting.
Another, I think it's another Dutton family tree that goes unaccounted for. Because, like you said, there's the Great Depression. You better get World War II pretty soon. You better get all these different events over the next 2 decades. I think that's gonna like lose track of a certain bloodline. And this is what I think. And I think you better get 1933, 1945, and 1961. All these different shows to come after this. Because I don't think this bloodline series is gonna be over with. I think Taylor's gonna milk this shit for what it's worth, like Mrs. Buttersworth, over the next 3 decades of storytelling that she's gonna try to tell with these characters. Man, so much has happened in the last couple of episodes. So Tiona, her husband and a father have now found work as ranch hands, wrangling up cattle somewhere in the Permian Basin of Texas. And Tiona comes across a wanted poster of her face on there, and so is her father. Again, the peaceful 45 minutes of screen time these people had, I knew it was only a matter of time that drama was gonna come to their front door. And what are your thoughts of what's gonna happen with them? I mean, we know how episode 5 ends. I mean, somebody got shot. So I don't. Do you think Pete survived? You think Pete got clipped at least one of them? What are your thoughts with that, Tristan?
For me, I definitely don't think Pete survived. Does he get one of the two, the marshal or the priest? He might graze one of them, but I think I've come to the conclusion that the priest definitely and the marshal mostly have like plot armor at this point in the season. like those dudes are just gonna survive. It's impossible white man syndrome times 1,000 on them. Like, they're just not gonna be killed, bro. Those natives should have killed them. When they ran up on them, like they caught them by surprise, like that should have been an easy kill. And like all them dudes damn near got killed, bro. Like that tells me plot armor. I know the other dude got clipped. We don't need 2 marshals. bro, you should have known. One of us is probably not gonna make it. It's probably gonna be me. But yeah, the surviving marshal, he definitely has impossible white man syndrome. So like he's he'll probably get fucked up a little bit. But Pete definitely won't make it. Not in this Taylor Sheridan economy. Again, if it's 3 people riding, I'm assuming one of those dudes is gonna die. Always. So this is on Tiana and her daddy before he probably bites that dust as well.
Marcy, what are your thoughts on that closing episode of episode 5?
Yeah, I don't think this storyline has a happy ending. Like Tristan said, I don't think Pete makes it. Or they injure him and then torture him to tell them like where Tiona and her father are. Although it's not hard to find them, right? It's just flat. they're in the part of Texas that is just flat. So, and I think one of the episode synopsis for coming up episode says Tiona sees a face from her past. So I think the priest definitely survives, at least to see Tiona again. I hope she beats his ass and kills him. Like, I hope she at least has some kind of ending, right? And we know that she's Thomas's, or we're assuming she's Thomas's grandmother. Again, we don't know. Like, Taylor could be like faking us out, but leave this poor woman alone, Taylor. Just let her get to somewhere and be happy and live her life. But what we know from Thomas's background and upbringing was that it probably wasn't very great. So I don't see a lot of like rainbows and sunshine and unicorns for Tiona, unfortunately, because she's just not going to have a happy ending because of the time period that we're in. Like, I think Taylor is really trying to tell stories of how they happened, and that didn't happen.
Well, I wonder this because we know that that's Thomas Rainwater's ancestor. I wonder if Tiona's already pregnant.
Yeah,
that's my question. Because I mean, the likelihood of this story of her falling in love with another Native American seems very highly unlikely in this Taylor Sheridan economy.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. Also, what's going on in Montana? Zane had the operation of a lifetime. Again, the dialogue and the probability of this. I have a problem with this. It doesn't make sense to me how that's a difficult surgery to have in today's time.
Like today.
Like today, like in 2025. In 1923 to have was it craniotomy essentially? Is that what that is? We pretty much cut the cranium, cut the skull to alleviate pressure. Craniotomy. Like they have a craniotomy with no anesthesia and just the whims and dreams of like keeping this man stable and him surviving it. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. I get it. It's drama, but that scene seemed a little bit far-fetched for him to survive that and him to be okay. What are your thoughts, Marcy, on that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it was a good scene overall, and I guess the doctor's going to be like an MVP because, you know, he might have lost his nurse a couple episodes ago, but he is coming in clutch now and saving Zane's life with an operation he'd never even done before, right? Like, this is his first time. They prep him. Jake and Jacob do a good job of getting the rig together of how they're going to position him in place. And then they just kind of knock him out with chloroform, which is like, you just knocked him out. Like, it's not going to like keep him under. So obviously I was expecting him to wake up, but it was just hilarious to me when he just popped his eyes open and screamed. And my cat got startled by that because we were watching it early Sunday morning and she was like, dude, what the fuck was that? So I think it was a good scene overall. My thing was, okay, the surgery's done. Zane's okay. He just like wrapped a bandage and it's like, that's it. Like, big old hole in your cranium. Like, are we not worried about germs? Like, I know we've got to let the wound breathe, but it just was like, oh, just willy-nilly wrap your head, go for it, go outside. I need a little bit more of like sterility and yeah, like I wonder, is that going to get infected? That was my concern throughout this whole thing. It's like he didn't even like clean like the area of his skull before he started drilling into it. So I'm like, this man is going to get an infection and die. So, I mean, kudos to you, doctor. Like, you did it, and he rewarded himself with a drink, which is what I would have done.
And not just that, like literally after the surgery, he's like, I want to see my wife, and they sit him up to go see his wife. I'm like, he should be in bed rest, bro. He had his head cracked open. What are we doing?
Bring her in here, like don't in the cold with your head open, like. Talk about brain freeze, like literally.
Hey, shit. Hey man, Zane better do some great shit. Like all this did was put a lot of pressure, bro. Like way too much pressure on Zane, man. And he's probably not ready for it. Like Zane is the epitome of role player. And we like, hey, bro, you got to drop 40, game 7. Like shit's about to get cracking. Go drop 40. Like that tells me his character has to be meant for something greater. It has to be. Like there's no other way.
You can't go through what he went through. His family being called mongrels, his wife being assaulted, him getting beat up to a pulp, him surviving a surgery, only for him to die in the first open battle that they have. If that happens, I'm done. Because it's just more gratuitous violence for the second half of gratuitous violence. You can't put a character through what he went through and not give him purpose moving forward. It wouldn't make sense.
It's the same thing we're saying about Alex. It's like if Alex makes it all the way to Bozeman and then gets killed in a snowstorm, it's like, okay, that's just horrible television. You know what I'm saying? Like we just, again, this man got a brainiotomy or whatever the fuck you call that shit, man. And and then got up like fucking Frankenstein. It's not Frankenstein. Doctor, whatever. Jekyll. And like start moving, like, hey, this character has to move forward, like because I'm sure for most, unless you rewatch season 1, and again, who the fuck would do that? I don't think a lot of people. I don't even remember Zane. I remember them like arresting him and taking his his wife and kids, but I didn't remember how bad they beat him up. Like I just simply, unless they showed it off camera, I simply don't remember because I'm not rewatching that season. So I'm sure a lot of other 1923 viewers don't fully recognize like the extent to how bad he got beat. Because I was surprised as hell when they showed him like, essentially incapacitated. I'm like, what? I thought they just roughed him up. Like, damn. Baton sticks are doing that in 1923. But his character has to pay off. The same way we want Alexandra, same way we want Tiona's characters to like pay off in some type of way. Zane has, and I feel like we've moved his character up a level of importance that probably wasn't meant to have. But like, hey, bro, we just watched you survive like a 2047 ass surgery, and you did that shit in 1923. So like, this has to pay off some type of way. So I'm going to trust Taylor Sheridan to not waste that storyline, and I assume that Zane is going to do something, in protection of his family, the ranch, that legacy, and that we'll remember for a while. So I look forward to that.
The level of insignificance Zane was in season 1, he was so insignificant to me. I got him mixed up with John Dutton, Jack's dad. I couldn't tell which one was which. So like when again I didn't pay, and I mean I knew he was like a ranch hand and he helped Jacob and all of that, but like I didn't know who he was. And then like I remember him getting beat up and jumped on at his house. But again, I thought it was just a couple of kicks to the stomach, knocked out, and that was it. I didn't know it let them damn near in a vegetative state at one point. I didn't know that. So you're telling me now as a showrunner and a writer that this guy is a major chess piece moving forward. You better stick to that. You better stick to landing on that character, because if this motherfucker dies in the very next episode or he dies in the very next attack, I'm gonna be really pissed off that I was forced not to be invested. I was forced to be invested in a craniotomy and this guy surviving what he survived in to be in episode 6 and moving forward. So we shall see. Let's talk about Spencer, man. I mean, talk about outrageous Avenger storylines moving forward. I mean, outside of Alex, he might have the most ridiculous storyline as far as like survival and what he's been through. So far, he survived the bootlegging. He survived what it seemed like dirty cops. He survived a train ride from hell with strangers trying to steal his gun. That scene really bothered me, and I'm gonna tell you why. This motherfucker has a gun, and not only a gun, he has a double barrel shotgun. That tells me he knows. That tells me that weapon is very rare during that time. It's a gun that people have when they either at war or they're hunting. It's not some type of handgun. This motherfucker has a double barrel shotgun. That tells me that motherfucker knows what to do with that shit when shit goes left. It looked like to me these people on the train that looked sneaky as fuck. Why would you fuck with this man? He shows no fear, and he's laying on the other side of the train barrack of that storage unit by himself. And you thought to yourself, I'm going to try to take this gun away from him and rob him. He showed no fear. That man had, like, just from the, if I'm somebody that's in the same train storage unit as one Spencer Dutton, and I see how he looks and how he carries himself, it doesn't take a smart man to know that's not the white man you want to fuck with. He looks like he's been tested. He looks like he's somebody not to fuck with. And yet they came unarmed. They had no weapons on them, and they decided to fuck with them. That, to me, that was the most predictable ending that I out of all the Yellowstone characters I've seen in all the Yellowstone shows, that was the most predictable ending of any adversarial character to one main character. I didn't understand it. I thought it was kind of pointless, knowing that the man has survived lions, tigers, and bears and sharks. You think some dirty ass street rat on the train is gonna impede his progress? That scene didn't make sense to me. Tristan, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. That's fucking with me. That scene would have been 2 minutes, man. As soon as they would have said, "Excuse me, bye, kid, you can you can stay, you can ride, or you can get off. Like, pick one." But again, the larger story that Taylor Sheridan wants to tell is that unless you have some level of privilege, everywhere in America is a danger zone. Like, there's a minefield literally everywhere you step. Get on the train, there's trouble. You know, you think a policeman is there to help you out? Nope. Go run some bootlegging. Now that's a stupid storyline. You talk about a scene, some shit I don't understand. We don't have to talk about that one in deep, but like, I guess this goes into the larger thing. Like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, again, it's the only logical reasoning behind some of these plot lines for Spencer is, again, to show you the larger story about America in 1923, right? Not all the way civilized. Still got counties with no citizens, no sheriffs, no real laws. Like, there's so many institutions that are yet to be regulated. You know, like our train system. People aren't drunk in trains in fucking 2025. We've legislated that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that shit. Like, society has advanced, and in so many ways, society had not advanced. You absolutely in West Texas, or hell, not even, East Texas, Southeast Texas, you know, in Galveston, you're gonna have dirty cops, right? The mob was pretty heavy in Galveston. Mob is pretty heavy in Fort Worth. Mob is not as heavy, but heavy in Houston. So like, showing you, like, man, everywhere in this particular area, in these particular areas across the West, the South, this shit is the wild, wild West. You know what I'm saying? It's super wild. It's uncivilized. And in order for you to get to your comfort zone, you have to go through these landmines, which are every fucking where. And again, Taylor Sheridan wants to tell us the story about America through the Duttons, right? And through, like, this emerging capitalism and innovation that's happening around the Duttons, that it would take them so long to, like, really integrate in. And again, he can only tell this in a heavy-handed way. This is who we're dealing with. Like, if you watch his interviews, like, that's a heavy-handed ass motherfucker. Like, you just look at him like, oh, he's the person that grabs your shoulder when they tell a joke, like, hey, like, and squeezes that motherfucker. Like, yeah, I get it, bro. I get it. Yeah, that shit was live. You know what I'm saying? He's a heavy-handed guy, bro. So I would have shot them dudes on sight. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him for not killing the kid, but, like, bro, like, he can't go anywhere. Like, he's laying on a tree, you know, and now like everything is taking him off this path, which again, to bring this back, it has to pay off with him and Alex meeting again. One, because that's when the show is at its best. Two, because again, all the signs are pointed back to them together. Like this is a classic trope of like drama, you know, literature is like we get these characters, we make them fall in love, like this really romantic love, and then we slowly tear apart to see if they can come back together. And bro, they going through it, man. Like they going through it. Spencer's going through it, and I guess one of the positives, we get to see him through all these like adverse situations. We know that he's been through war, right? We know that he has training in that area, but like we get to see him on a domestic level go through these different things, knowing again, long game is that okay, once he actually finally makes it to Montana, he's going to have to put those skills all the way to use, like everything he's learned, you know, like how to play the game, you know what I'm saying? How to get cool with the right people, you know, obviously the fighting skills and recognizing threats from so many different areas. He's going to need those as soon as he gets home because the war is coming.
I think Taylor just wanted to show us some 1923 crackheads. I mean, they were drunk or high. They didn't look like they were making the best choices. And then it seemed kind of like a human trafficking situation, or like they were trying to pimp that little kid out. So I was like, Taylor, what are you doing? And then like, I'm glad it ended the way it did. But yeah, I think he's just trying to show like everything is dangerous. And even Spencer says that in this episode, in the last episode, episode 5, where he's like, what happened to this country while I was away fighting for it? Like he is like, damn, everything is dangerous now, like Tristan said.
Yeah, no, for sure. Speaking of Spencer, we know so Spencer and Mammy cross paths. The marshal in the Native American territory. Something tells me Mammy is set up to put up some NBA numbers, postseason numbers. Twofold. With the Native American storyline with Tiona, I think she's going to be the one that saves Tiona. I think she'll play a hand in that. And then now with Spencer, you have her in that storyline as well. Where do you think Mammy is going to go from here? Because she's been casted. So she's a really solid actress. We know she has Spencer in her custody now. Where does her character go from here on out, moving forward, Marcy, in your opinion?
I definitely think she does have like a huge part to play with Tiona's story. I do think she will be definitely more sympathetic than the marshal and the priest will be. That's what they're showing her out to be. So I'm hoping that she will play some part in either the priest getting held responsible for his part of everything, and I hope she's able to keep them from harming Tiona or taking her into custody or arresting her or anything like that. We shall see. But I definitely hope that what they're doing, again, to paint her as probably more sympathetic or more justice-minded, isn't a fake out and she ends up actually being more cruel than the priest or this other marshal. I don't think that's going to happen. I definitely do think they're trying to paint her as like somebody that follows the letter of the law and isn't just going to be like some terrible, terrible person.
I do appreciate her storyline because what it seems like is that they're bringing the trailblazing aspect to her character. Even when she was talking to the marshal in Montana, like, oh, I didn't know those female marshals in this nation, and like dealing with the marshal and the priest, like her continuously getting tested and questioned, her authority being questioned. I love how that essence is coming to light, and like I said, I think it's setting up for her to do some grand shit moving forward. Man, Tristan, what are your thoughts on Mammy so far, man? And what do you think her character goes from the season on out?
In the Sheridan universe, she probably gets her own show. It's a 5-episode arc, you know what I'm saying? I agree with everything I said. I definitely think she plays a huge role in helping Tiona get to Mexico, because ultimately that's, where her family, the Rainwater lineage, like continues. I think she plays a big role in like being a conduit between Tiona and Spencer, because obviously Spencer's with her. Well, he was with her. So like maybe they come across paths, or maybe not. Like I don't know. It depends on where he is, bro. So I definitely think I don't think she is going to stand for the way that the marshal and the priest go about business. I'm sure once she meets Tiona's going to tell her a story about what happened to her at the school, and the priest that had a hand in that. And I think she's already on bad footing with the marshal. The way he treats women, like she's going to see the link there. And just, the people he's killed along the way, like the natives that he's killed along the way for information and stuff like that. This is a cruel man, So I know she's a woman of the law, but like there's going to be a conflict within her between the law and her culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her people. And just humanity in general, right? So I think she's going to have to make that decision. And I don't know if she survives fully, you know what I'm saying? Depends on what Taylor wants to do with her character beyond. But I definitely think she steps in and takes a stand for right, regardless of what the cost is.
Bro, she might be the only clean cop or clean authoritative figure in this show so far. I mean, from the dirty cops we saw in Texas with the bootlegging thing, and then from the dirty marshal with the priest, like it's like law enforcement has been very questionable so far in this
Especially
series.
In the state of Texas. Everything in this 1883 did not make Texas look good, bro.
Bro, Fort Worth made Texas look really bad in 1883. How lawless it was, my goodness, like
that's y'all.
But go ahead.
So that's y'all people, man.
Shout out to Fort Worth.
Hey man, Galveston in y'all backyard, bro. Don't get twisted. But no, so we haven't talked much about Banner the last few episodes, man. He had some TV time, man. I want to talk about Banner and where he's at. I still have hope for Banner. I know what we saw did not look promising. It looks like he's rallying the troops for war against the Duttons for a second attempt. What I was really surprised with was Banner's wife. I thought Banner's wife was going to have a little bit of empathy and a little bit of like sorrow towards what's going on. But again, I think Banner's wife she's personifying an era of people during that time who are just tired of being second-class citizens, who are tired of being destitute. And I think it's fucked up what she said, but I think she is a common and prime example of somebody trying to survive. And the line that she said that really shook my soul, because it came off like she was concerned about what was going to happen. But when Banner told her, if I could give you this life, if I could give you generational wealth, and our kid can go to college, and our kids can go to college, and you don't have to clean and scrub. You can just enjoy your winter and not have to work during the winter. And the line she said was, if you steal this from the prince, make sure you drop him far enough from the highest top of the castle to where he does not retaliate. That might be the line of the episode. That shook my soul. What was y'all thoughts behind that line that Banner's wife said? Tristan.
Well, real quick, like I think she's made the decision. Not that she's made the decision, like she's tired of surviving. You know what I'm saying? Like she's been surviving her whole life. Like she's made a decision. So much of this show is like giving us a broad spectrum of like how people respond to like the extremes of poverty, right? We see people do, mothers steal for their children, you know what I'm saying, beg or worse for their children. Like we see some people band together, you know what I'm saying? Like, but there was also people, and there's still people. There's always been people who said, you know what? Like, I see this suffering that I've gone through, and I'm willing to step over somebody else who's suffering, or it's just anybody in general, to get to that next level. I just want to be at that next level. I don't even care what it costs me. It costs my soul, humanity, people's lives, whatever. Like, and she's clearly made that decision, but like that was a bar. Like that, it's indicative of, again, the times, you know what I'm saying, which is so ironic because the next decade will like shut so much of that shit down. But just people just deciding like, hey, I'm tired of living. I'm tired of like scraping by. I'm tired of kids going without, like, I'm tired of, you know, surviving the winter and shit like that. Like, I want to see all these things that I'm seeing other people have, or the things that I'm like even being lightly exposed to, because she hasn't even really seen the huge gist of like everything that, you know, can be had through this capitalism. But she gets a little taste of it, like just sleeping in a better bed and like, fuck this, I want more, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like she was going to be like the only bridge for Banner and his humanity. But like, what I still can tell, like, he's not fully all the way there. He's not all the way bought into like taking from everybody in order to like help his family move up. So will there be a conflict there, or does he just dive full speed ahead with like the support of the only person who should be the one to tell him like, hey, yeah, we want these things, but like that, you know, it comes at a cost, you know what I'm saying, one way or another. And maybe we shouldn't go so far in trying to get these things. So if he's, you know, diving fully into that, then there's no hope for him at all. You know what I'm saying? So like he will be 100% villain instead of like 70%.
Yeah. Marcy, what are your thoughts on that, on Banner and his wife?
She's in her Lady Macbeth era, so I do not.
That's a bar. God damn, it's a bar.
Win.
I don't think things
Marcy for the win.
Things are not going to end well for them. But 100 years later, are we any different? People willing to step over other people, if it means that they don't have to suffer, right? Like, as long as I don't have to suffer, I don't care if other people suffer. I don't care who I take from, as long as I don't have to suffer. So, I mean, have we changed all that much? Not really. And I mean, I get it, right? Like, they're Scottish. They've been through so much with the English. So, like, they have not just kind of like the poverty thing, but they have like generations and generations of all the shit that they had to put up with in their country to come to the US and put up with more shit, feuding with, you know, the Duttons and thinking it would be different here because that's what they're told, right? Like, they're told, come to America, things will be great. Everybody is prosperous, and they get here and they're like, yeah, that's not happening. So I can definitely understand of being tired and not, you know, having that context. But like Tristan said, like, that's giving away then your humanity. And then are you any better than everybody that persecuted you and generations of your family back in Scotland? Like, no, you're not.
I guess my question, the only problem I had with the transition was in episode 3, Banner and his wife literally had a conversation about Whitfield being the devil. Banner's wife even said it like, do you trust this man? This man pretty much embodies evil. And Banner said himself, like, I don't trust this man. Like, I've seen this man do things that I've never seen a man do, and how far he's willing to go. The wife is literally questioning the moral compass of Whitfield, and then 2 episodes later, she just quickly turns a blind eye, like, look, man, just get it how you can get it. As long as I ain't scrubbing no more flows and feeding cattle and shaving the wool off sheep, I don't care. Let's take from that person. I don't have a problem with her saying what she said. I have a problem with the rough transition and how quickly she changed her mind about it so quickly within 2 episodes. It just seemed like there wasn't much pushback, and like her stance changed so quickly And is what are your thoughts about that? It just seemed like it was just very real quick. Her being reprogrammed to what she is.
My theory is just a matter of time. Honestly, a matter of time. This it's an attempt by Sheridan. Again, I'll talk about all the characters that are not like your super central characters being static as hell. And his wife might as well have been a broom. You know what I'm saying? So I think this was his attempt at adding some dynamic, elements to her character, particularly before she dies, because I don't think her or Banner. I didn't think Banner was going to make it through season 2. I don't think he survives at the end of the season. So maybe she doesn't either. So it's like, hey, why should we care about her? Like, okay, this is somebody who is actively pushing him further against the Duttons, who are the people we're supposed to be rooting for.
I also think in that second conversation is where he really framed it as like, this could help us get rich and out of our struggle season. Like in that first conversation, it was mostly about, I'm scared of him because of like how ambitious he is. And like, he's just kind of evil, right? Like there's no redeeming quality. In this conversation, he was like, yeah, like he could do bad things, but what if I could set it up to where if I'm working for him, I can get us everything that we've ever wanted. I think that's where she was like, oh, well, say less. You didn't start off with that at our previous conversation. And I also think like Banner just wants to do it for his wife and his family. Like, I think that is where his motivation comes from, which is a good motivation when you're wanting to do things the right way, but a terrible, terrible motivation when you are willing to do things a very, very bad way.
No, for sure. Lastly, let's talk about Whitfield. Whitfield had some scenes in episode 4 and 5. I think outside of Sinatra, he might be the biggest villain on TV. And right now, as far as shows are going on in 2025, I don't understand the focal point on horrors for him. I feel like them focusing so much on the very violent nature he treats women and the very misogynistic value of volume that's been depicted, I think takes away from the very intelligent, conniving angle that he is, especially in the boardroom, trying to, the ambitious nature that he has. And I in my opinion, I think we're getting 55% way too much horror usage for his character that we need to tell his story. This man's a great actor. I don't know if you guys are very well like aware of his acting prowess over the last 3 or 4 decades. He's a really great actor, and I feel like you're taking away from this man acting and just giving these barbaric tones to his character, which to me aren't needed. Like we don't like. I get you showing like an origin story or like showing like his fucked up nature in season 1. I don't need it to continue on to season 2. I damn sure don't need it to continue on to episode 6 of this man recruiting whores. I don't. I think that takes away from what this villain really is and how dynamic he can be. And this is, to me, this is like an example of like, you have a great player, you have a great franchise guy, and you're regulating him to be like, just score points. Don't facilitate, don't distribute the basketball, don't play defense, just score points, 3-time All-Star. Like, I think you're scaling down what this character can be, and they're focusing way too much on this prostitute angle of the like. I don't understand it. I don't know what the point is this far into the story. Marcy, what are your thoughts on like where Taylor is taking this Whitfield character from that angle, and do you agree with it?
I agree with you in what you're saying, but what it says to me, what I'm getting from it, may not be what Taylor is intending. He is also trying to show how cruel women, specifically white women, can become while upholding things like the patriarchy and sadism, right? Like at first, the first sex worker, I don't even think they've given us names for these women. Like it's just the women that he has sex with. So I don't even think she has a name. Right? Like she's not into it. They're both scared of it. She starts to get into it and sees what she can get out of it, right? Like I don't know if now she truly gets off on it or if it's just a defense mechanism to be like, oh, I have to pretend that I like this, so then like I can be the one, right? Like I won't be treated as badly as the other women. So from what I'm getting is like how you can corrupt yourself either to not be treated as badly as others or because you grew to like the cruelty and the corruption. So that's what it says to me, especially now that she's willing to go find another unsuspecting sex worker to bring into like this fantasy or whatever they're doing. It kind of, parallels to what Banner's wife is willing to do. Like, I don't care who we hurt as long as we're able to get ours and not have to struggle. Like, she doesn't care who she hurts now as long as she's able to, be in his good graces and not get killed.
I agree with everything that y'all said. I don't think we need it. We know that Whitfield is evil. We could tell by the way he talks about his business interests and what he wants to do with the Duttons, that he's evil. Like it's for no other reason than just pure greed, right? You know what I think ultimately the biggest point of like this horror story is, and if this is true, then I'm gonna be really pissed. Like all the like masochistic shit and say the shit that I've had to watch and endure with the storyline. I think the biggest purpose for this is or has become to kind of like reintroduce us to the area where the Duttons used to drop off bodies. Like that's what I feel like that might be like one of the ultimate conclusions of this. Like, and this goes into like the larger critique of telling these themes and telling these stories and telling these narratives, but like using using as women as a vehicle for that, like their trauma, their pain, as a vehicle to show you this larger story. Hey, you want to know how America was fucked up? Look at how we used to rape women. And that's so disappointing. If that, like, once they showed that shit, I was like, oh, I get it. I got you, Taylor. You use dumping her body off to show, okay, these are the plans that they have for the Duttons, and these plans are going to get flipped, and they're probably going to leave you, Banner, and probably in Whitfield and whoever else in that same area. Like, and this thing is just going to get passed down across generations and generations. I got it. Mm-hmm. Watching that pissed me off because I'm like, if all of this is for that particular reason, even if this is just like a big reason, a big result of it, I'm like, bro, like we could have done this a lot of ways. We could have done this without sitting through 10 minutes of, two women beating each other and stuff for your pleasure. Like that does nothing for me as a viewer. It doesn't advance the story. I already knew Whitfield was cruel. Like I knew these things. I knew he was greedy. I knew he treated people like things, like all capitalists did to a large degree. I didn't need to see all that to get to these larger points. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's like a passenger they picked up along the way of like, hey, we can show white women and like their relationship with patriarchy through the pain of other women. It's like, ooh, there's so many. We could have given them a girlfriend and did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many other ways. It didn't have to be like that.
Tristan, you're smarter than me. So I didn't think about the train station shit until to just now. And you know what? I think 80% of the viewers who watched this show was probably so distracted by the violent nature of these women being assaulted and sexualized, and this very masochist theme that's been implemented since season one, that it probably didn't dawn on them either. It didn't dawn on me that this is the origin of the train station. Like you said, this could have been, you could have created an origin of, like, because we know the Duttons win because Yellowstone is prevalent in the main timeline. You could have just dumped all the bodies from the war that's going to happen into that area and just call it a day. Like, hey, this is how the train station got founded, and this is how we created, dumping bodies. I didn't need to see a woman getting choked to death or killing herself. Oh, I don't know how she died. I know it's some type of choking thing gone wrong, but it's like, this is where your writing team went. This is where your 8 or 9 or 10 writers came to a conclusion, like, hey, let's create this storyline of women being used as vehicles of pleasure through violence, and boom, hits the train station. That's what y'all came up with. It's a team. Every show's a team of writers. Every show does. There's not one writer. Every show has a team of writers. And y'all came to a consensus that this is the origin story of the train station. That's wild. The it's just so primitive. It's mad primitive to like come to that conclusion, to create such a very forgotten thing about Yellowstone. I don't think about the train station until they show the train station in Yellowstone. That's how insignificant that element is to me. And to like create it from this, to originate from this standpoint, from a villain that, bro, Timothy Dalton is one of the greatest actors I've ever seen in my 40 years of being on this earth. And if I was to watch this show and not know anything about Timothy Dalton's past as an actor, I wouldn't have thought this man is Academy Award nominee, SAG winner. I would have had no semblance of proof based on this character alone, because it's just so rigid and so it's just very simplistic. It seemed like to me that this character is written to as if Taylor had a 40-hour deadline to turn in a script to go into production and say, hey man, let's throw this shit in for shits and giggles to like create like a shocking element. That's what
binge
story.
Huh? He was on a cocaine binge.
Yeah, like the arc doesn't seem well thought of with this character. I enjoy watching Whitfield when he's talking about like ways of expanding the business, and when he's talking about paying the back taxes. Like, that to me is more interesting because it shows his intellect and it shows his conniving capabilities. The whipping of prostitutes in his room and like misbehaving and like that does nothing for me. It does nothing for me for the storyline. You're not inventing shit with that. I thought we was done with the horror. I thought we was done with the whole horror angle. When they brought it back, when I saw that woman, that dead body in that bed, I'm like, oh fuck, we're about to spend another 20 minutes on this shit. That was my thought. Seeing that scene. Yeah, man. I don't know. So Whitfield in the boardroom talking to the other aristocrats and 1%ers of that time, of putting together a plan of like a resort, and again, it's just Yellowstone main timeline back 80 years now, or back 100 years now, talking about what they're planning to do. And watching those 1%ers look at Whitfield and the way they looked at him with such like amazement and such like forward thinking, like how, like they saw him as like, I mean, this guy's a messiah. This guy he's a visionary. That gave me more pleasure of watching that than seeing that dead woman in the bed being choked out. That it was night and day for me. I didn't need to see. You could have focused more on the business aspect of what he's trying to do and his plans moving forward once he rules the Duttons, than showing any more horror scenes. So that's kind of where I'm at, man, with that character. Do you guys have any other thoughts from episode 4 and 5?
I do have something that I noticed. I wonder if you all noticed. So Whitfield's house is the same one that is now the governor's mansion. Obviously, they did that to film in the same place. Or do we think that Taylor is wanting to show that maybe either Whitfield eventually became governor and then like his house is now used as the governor's mansion since then? Or does he get in trouble and face justice in some way and they take his house and make it the governor's mansion? That's what I noticed. I was like, that's the same house where John Dutton got murdered. Like, what is happening? So I don't know if it's intentional. I'm assuming it probably is.
I don't want to give Taylor that kind of credit. I just feel like he was just trying to find a place to shoot, and he didn't want to like spend any more money shooting anywhere else. Based on what we've seen from the writing so far, I don't think he's that forward thinking with Easter eggs. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he surprises me, and maybe it does mean something moving forward. But I just took it as him just trying to save space and resources. Well, Tristan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think it's this big elaborate plot. I mean, maybe I haven't been able to nail down like what feels his ending and what that looks like. Like, you know, maybe he makes it through, you know, and all the rest of the soldiers get killed. You know, or maybe he goes too. I don't know, but with impossible white man like Whitfield, you know, like he could go from anywhere like dying in the finale or becoming fucking president or some shit. At least governor. So we'll see. But I don't think Taylor Sheridan is that forward thinking. Like,
I just find it weird that between Whitfield, Banner, the marshal, and the priest, nobody's died, nobody's suffered. Like, it's just these guys are like on a 26-0 run right now in the NBA Finals. They're just destroying the competition. I like who takes the first L amongst the villains, you think?
Oh,
Banner
or the priest.
Ooh,
I hope it's a priest.
Same.
Well, I think the marshal goes first. I think the marshal goes first, and then the priest is eventually. Yeah.
I just feel like for the priest and the marshal, for them to go out, you need an audience. It can't be some isolated. They get jumped in the night with nobody. Like there needs to be an audience, a grand finale, guns a-blazing. Like for them to go. I don't want to see, like for example, when the Native American kids attacked their camp. I was like, they're not gonna die. Nobody's around. Nobody's around. It's dark. Like nobody's gonna see this. There needs to be a finale, a audience of grand proportions. I feel like. But no, man. I had no other thoughts. Episode 6. I don't know what it brings. I don't know where Spencer's at. Is he in Oklahoma or is he in Texas? I don't even know where he's at. Is it New Mexico?
Amarillo is where
Amarillo,
he was with the marshal, so they put him on a train. Hopefully his track isn't snowed over like Alex's is, but do we feel comfortable with the English couple that saves Alex, or is Taylor gonna hoodwink us and they turn out to be bad? Is it gonna be another situation like Whitfield and the prostitute?
Where... I think my quick thought on it, I think Alice gets to a location or an area where she feels safe and she's secure, and then she starts to question, like, hey, I went through all these things. The girl told me how shitty being, living on a ranch and being what a cowboy is. Maybe she starts to doubt those things a little bit, and we kind of see her conflicted between the comfort and like the discomfort she knows she's going into, but she's doing it for love. So I think I feel like we can trust the couple, the English couple. Maybe not all of the intentions. Like maybe they try to take her away. Like, hey, try to persuade her to go back to London or do something with them, whatever. Set them up with somebody who's rich. Like, who knows? Like, I think there's some level of temptation for Alex after all the pain. If Taylor has more pain left for Alex, like before she gets to Montana, I'm sorry, man. I have to jump off that train like Spencer at some point, and roll through that grass. But Because that's overkill, bro.
I would agree if she wasn't pregnant. I think in those times when a woman's pregnant, they're pretty much no one wants to touch them. No one wants to deal with them on a romantic level. And I think in her case, especially during those times, once you're pregnant, once you're with child or have children, I think men value you less than without child. So I think now I do think she will have doubts based on what she went through. I mean, to go through what she has went through, it will be impossible not to have doubts. But I think the love that she has for Spencer, her being with child, is going to carry her through to see this mission to get back to Montana. When Spencer was on that train, it was going west. I don't know what y'all thought process was, but I'm like, bro, you're going the wrong fucking direction. You need to go north. What are you going west for? It left me so exasperated, like he's going further and further away from where he needs to go. So hopefully now that he's been in contact with the marshal, but now with the marshal now in Montana, they're saying, hey, dude, you can't keep him there. So like, again, I asked this question in the beginning of season 1, and I asked it beginning of season 2. Does Spencer make it back to Montana by episode 8 of season 2?
Yes.
Yes.
I refuse. I mean, Marcy. There's a good chance Marcy's right. I just refuse to believe it. Like, it wouldn't be good TV. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just would not be a good television season. I'm sorry. You have his main action and your central character that far away from it for that long. That's horrible television, and I just refuse to believe it.
I agree. Like, do I want him to? Of course. Yes, I want him to get to Montana the next episode. Do I think Taylor's going to fuck with us? Probably. And then also, like Tristan said, like, he's so far removed from, like, the main action and everything that's going on at the ranch. When he calls the sheriff in Montana, he's like, you know, have they arrested the men that killed my brother? Baby, that is like 20 family, like, tragedies ago. Like, so much has happened since then that you have, like, no clue about. He is so behind. He needs to get back to Montana because he needs to, like, get caught up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the way that the marshal kind of sauced up that answer, that just shows me you're not doing your job as a marshal. Like, what the fuck? Like, people are dying left and right, and like, there's so much unruly things going on in Montana, and you're not convincing Spencer that you're even doing your job as a marshal. It's I don't know. I mean, for Alex, she's in Chicago, so she's not that far away. But again, with it being winter, I don't see if Spencer makes it back to Montana before Alex, I'm gonna be really pissed. Because she's literally next door. She's not far from Montana, from Chicago.
Still a ways. It's still a ways.
She's way closer than Spencer.
Yeah, she's closer than Spencer. You're right, but I'm guessing maybe they meet on a train eventually somewhere. I think that's what like Taylor does. Like eventually they have to be going the right way, and maybe like that's how they meet up again. But girl, if you were in Chicago, just like send a telegram or something. Like call Montana and be like, does this ranch even exist? If so, like let them know I'm coming. Because yeah, I would be having doubts.
Yeah. Well, we shall see come episode 6, man. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching today. We have 6 and 7 in 2 weeks. And Moose, thank you again so much for chiming in. Everybody else, thank you so much for logging on and watching us. Episode 6 and 7 will be covered 2 weeks from now. So we're doing 2 weeks. We're doing every 2 weeks until the finale of season 2. If you have any thoughts or you want to comment, please like, share. If y'all want us to cover any of the shows, please let us know. Comment, leave a like, leave recommendations of shows that you want us to cover as well. We are on YouTube, we are on Anchor, and we are on Apple Podcasts as well at Watcher's Basements. For myself and Spotify, thank you, Brittany, and Spotify as well at Watcher's Basement. So please, road to 500. Last time I checked, we're at 438 subscribers. So please, man, please like, share, and spread the word. We got lots of stuff coming up. We have Daredevil coming out Wednesday. Episode, I think it's 2 episodes that's coming out Wednesday. Oh, Tuesday. We're gonna cover on Wednesday. We have Last of Us coming out pretty soon that we're gonna cover. We have You, season 4 coming out that we're gonna cover as well. A couple movies that count too. So we have a very, very busy next 2 months on the show for us. So please, man, let's get to 500 before Spencer get back to Montana. Please, let's get it. For myself, for Marcy, for Tristan, this is season 2 of 1923, episode 4 and 5. See you guys in 2 weeks. Thank y'all so much.